If you'd like to download my free ebook that will teach you how to have an awesome, enviable, and paying career in the game industry, just sign up for my newsletter in the description below or in the card up above. Thanks! In today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different, and that's sound design with instruments, and this is my bass guitar. Do I know how to play bass guitar? Nope! But in today's video, I'm going to go direct input, just a 1/4-inch jack straight into my audio interface, into Logic, pluck around, and make some cool sounds. And you can do this exact same process at home with whatever instruments you have. Alright, so here we are in Logic Pro. I recorded a whole bunch of bass plucks, nothing special, just some regular everyday bass plucks. Into Logic, just direct input, no amp or anything like that. And I'll play a few of them for you before we start sound design and going a little crazy. Okay, so let's go over the things that I like to do whenever I start recording an instrument, whether it be an electric one or acoustic one, whatever it may be. So with stringed instruments that have long sustained notes like a guitar, for example, or a bass, in this case, I like to first start out by entering flex time in Logic, or for you, depending on your DAW, whatever it may be called. Every single DAW basically has some way to stretch or shrink audio notes or audio data, just so you can get it smaller or longer. And what flex time has, and as do all the others, they have different modes for different stretching and shrinking. So I like to start with tempo phone, which basically tries to stretch or shrink the sound as best it can without introducing artifacts or changing the pitch at all. So what I'm going to do is take this first note and then just stretch the heck out of it. So here it is now stretched. And you can hear it sounds like the same note, but it has that big fat wobble in there, which I really, really like. I like using this for kind of spaceship, computer, deep, horrific, maybe ambiences. Anything that needs to sound deep or unsettling, this is a great starting point. So I like to stretch stuff out, especially if they're long sustained notes, and get that wobble to it. So that's just one thing. The next thing I like to do is, of course, add reverb to it. And the reverb I like to use in Logic is the Space Designer, which is a convolution reverb. If you haven't seen my video on reverb yet, just go watch that in the card up above or in the description below. So in Space Designer, we have a whole bunch of spaces that we can put this bass in. But what's most fun is these warped effects. And mainly I like these drone tones quite a bit because they change the character of the sound quite a bit. So let's take one of these drone tones. I'm just going to pick a random one, say Dreamy Voices. And I'll turn this dry down a little bit, actually all the way, just so we hear just the affected bass. So you can still hear a little bit of that bass in there, but it changes the character of the sound quite a bit, and it already sounds more sci-fi. It has a kind of metallic sort of ring to it, which could work maybe in a horror situation or some sort of ambience, whatever you're looking for. It's a good drone as a layer that may work for you, or it may work in some other sort of sound that I can't think of right now. Totally up to you. So with that Space Designer, that reverb on there, you can of course also EQ the hell out of it. And you can EQ the low frequencies, highs. I like to add high frequencies onto kind of reverberated sounds. It generally brings that character out a little bit more. So you can bring that metallic sound out just a little bit more. And I'm going a little crazy with this. I may not do that in actual day-to-day sound design, but maybe I will, who knows. So I might throw this up all the way up, this high shelf, and just boost the heck out of those high frequencies to bring that metallic sort of sound out, and that might sound really cool, depending on what you're going for. And of course, you can also distort this sound. So I'm going to distort this EQ'd sound here. I'm going to turn this drive down just so I don't blow your ears off. So now it has a bit more bite to it, something that sounds a little more raw, maybe a little more unpleasant. Maybe that's what you're going for, in which case distortion can be a very, very, very good thing in that case. And of course, you can also play around with pitch shifting. Now, the pitch shifting plugin that I use a lot is Waves Sound Shifter Pitch, this one right here, because it allows for smooth pitch shifting. It's not just by semitones or cents separately, it does both at the same time, and I'll show you why that matters in just a second. So of course you can change the pitch of the note. And you can make things sound real crazy and real silly. But one thing I like to do quite a bit of, especially with this plugin, is automate it. So if I bring up the automation view here in Logic, you can do that by pressing A by default. I can bring up this sound shifter plugin, go to pitch, and I can pencil in. Let's get to the pencil tool here. I always go here, pencil tool, and then I can just take whatever pitch I want to change to, and then just kind of pencil in an automated pitch curve, just like that, and have it change pitch over time. Maybe it wouldn't start off that high. That sounds really crazy when it's that high up. So let's start off kind of in the middle somewhere, maybe around here-ish. And this isn't the smoothest curve, I know. I would likely tweak this. But for the purposes of this video, it's fine. So I'll start kind of middling-ish. So especially if you had a smoother curve to this, I kind of made a half-assed job of it. If you have a smoother curve to this, you could make it a power down or a power up effect for a robot or some sort of sci-fi creature. That can work really well for something turning on or turning off that needs to sound otherworldly. That can work really, really well, and I use this sort of plugin for that stuff all the time. And of course, you can do anything else your heart desires. You can add 2 reverbs onto it, you can compress it, put delays onto it. But those are a few of the favorite things I like to do, especially with things that have long sustained notes like bass guitars. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other ideas for videos you want to see in the future for this sound design series, please don't hesitate to ask. I love reading your guys' comments. It's very fun to kind of go through and hear what your ideas are as well, because those are fun to experiment with too. So thanks so much for watching, and if you liked this video, of course, like, subscribe, comment below, read the description for plugin recommendations and all that sort of good stuff. And lastly, sign up for my newsletter where I share all of my best advice for those of you who want to break into the game industry and make a good living at it, regardless of your discipline. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.